Hello everybody, John back again. So those of you that have followed my channel for many years will remember that I used to have a series where I spoke about my hard rock and heavy metal albums, and I did that for 17 episodes and then it just sort of stopped. Time goes so fast. I was surprised to learn that that I last did that last one. It was about 5 years ago now, and I thought, well, it would be fun to sort of pick that up where I left off. It's been something that I've been thinking about. So yeah, when my eldest son, my first son was born, at the time I used to listen to a lot of heavy metal, but having a baby in the house just felt unnatural to be listening to, you know, loud, aggressive heavy metal. So I just kind of put it to one side and started listening to the Beatles, and then I got deeply into prog. So I sort of left my heavy metal days behind me, and then about 9 years ago, I visited a friend of mine in Aylesbury, Martin Parrott, and he very kindly gave me a metal record rack. I think it would come from a shop, I'm not really sure, but it was about that wide. Now that's up in my loft at the moment. It's been up there since we lived in this house. We moved here about 8 or 9 years ago, I suppose. And in that I keep my heavy metal records, because I took them out of my main collection because I felt, well, it would free up space for me to put other things in if I take out all the stuff that I no longer really listen to very much. And that worked quite well for a while, but now I've kind of got full up again. But my heavy metal records are still upstairs in the loft, and well, I'm going to show a few. So the last one I did, it was number 17, and I finished on this record, Tokyo Blade. Tokyo Blade were a new wave of British heavy metal band, and I picked this up at a car boot sale. I think this was released around about 81, 82, I suppose. And that's what's playing in the background. I thought it was apt to be playing this. Hope it's not too noisy. Now, following on from that, and that was the last record I showed in the last episode of my heavy metal records. What should come now is Twisted Sister. I've got pretty much most of their albums. And then after Twisted Sister, there would be Tigers of Pantang. Now, I distinctly remember taking those out of the shelves in preparation to make this video some time ago. Long story short, the loft space that used to be my office space isn't my office space anymore. It's now my eldest son's. It's kind of come full circle, isn't it? I stopped because he was bored, stopped listening to heavy metal, and now he's 18 and needs his own room, so he's turned my office space into his bedroom, and he's done a really good job of it. Sadly, all my CDs and a lot of my records that were already in a rack have been packed into boxes and shoved into the eaves of the loft. So my Twisted Sister and my Tigers of Pantang records are up there somewhere in a box, pushed right back to the eaves. So I'm going to jump an episode. That would have been my hard rock and heavy metal records number 18. So I'm going to make number 19 and come back to 18 when I've retrieved from my Twisted Sister and Tigers of Pantang records. And now I'm going to go bypass those last T records and go to the next letter of the alphabet, which is U. So I'm going to start off by showing this album. This is by U.D.O, or it's the vocalist from and Accept, German heavy metal band, weren't they? this is a solo album by him. And it's yeah, what you'd expect really. I think pretty much U.D.O followed on from where Accept finished, I think. And this is the next one that follows on from that. This is Time Bomb. Yeah, Time Bomb. I must admit I struggle with this guy's voice a little bit. It's an acquired taste, I think, and maybe some people like it. I just struggle with it. Nice cover though, isn't it? Look at that. So, and then the next after U comes V, because that was the only entry I have under the letter U. And now I'm going to show records by a Dutch guitarist called Vandenberg, Adrian Vandenberg. Now he's mostly famous for being in Whitesnake. He was in David Coverdale's Whitesnake for quite some years before he actually got to make a record. I think while he was in the band, I mean, he was successfully recruited to be part of Whitesnake, and then he kept on having things like hand injuries, which meant John Sykes played on the 1987 album, and then for another reason he couldn't play on the next one, Slip of the Tongue. Steve Vai played on that one. So David Coverdale made sure that he got to play on Restless Heart, which is the album that came out after that. And that's one of my favourite Whitesnake albums. So this is the first Adrian Vandenberg record. I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking I'm going to put in some needle drops along the way. I don't have the second Adrian Vandenberg record, but I have the third. This is called Alibi. I've actually been here, and that's the band's that's what like hard rock, heavy metal bands looked like back in the day. He's quite an accomplished guitarist, and I understand he when he was starting out, and this is sort of like a best of Vandenberg, so it's sort of tracks from each of his three band albums. When he was starting out touring with those early records, he actually toured with the Michael Schenker group. So like they were support act, which is quite apt really, because, you know, Michael Schenker being sort of a, you know, quite a young, very influential guitarist when he started out, as was Adrian Vandenberg a few years afterwards. Yeah, so this has pretty much got tracks, three tracks or 4 tracks from each of the albums. Great stuff. Next one I'm going to show is Vardis. Now, Vardis, sorry, that's the right way around. They were a new wave of British heavy metal band, weren't they? Quite an early one. I think this one came out, I think it's come out in 1980. My eyesight's so poor I can't see. But a good example of new wave of British heavy metal, that one. Now this one came to me quite late. I didn't actually have this before I gave up listening to heavy metal. I acquired this afterwards, I just picked it up. It's a nice record, glad to have it. Next, come Venom. Now Venom also were actually come out of the new wave of British heavy metal music movement, didn't they? This is one I picked up. I never really could get into Venom very much. I mean, yeah, I just found them a bit disturbing, to be honest with you. It was interesting because, I mean, I liked Slayer, and Slayer essentially stood on the shoulders of Venom, didn't they? But something about Venom just made me feel a bit sort of queasy. Like, I've only got 2 records by Venom. That was the first one, and this is the second. So it's the 3rd and the 4th albums. Interesting. On the Heavy Metal Archives, they don't list Venom as being new wave of British heavy metal, but they certainly were. They list. I think they're quite keen to want to list them as being speed metal, because the whole idea with Venom is that they did have a huge influence on subgenres that came afterwards, like black metal, for instance, is named after one of their initial very first tracks, and well, you could argue that Slayer really sort of were influenced by Venom, and so they had a huge impact on thrash. But also speed metal, which is sort of another subgenre that seemed to come out. Although initially the first albums weren't actually that fast, but I mean, even back in the day when they weren't as fast as Motorhead, for instance, but they certainly were, you know, darker, really dark stuff. That's the back. Next album I'm going to show is Vicious Rumours. This is one of those albums that, was issued on Roadrunner. and I first learnt about this band from the Guitar Masters compilation album. I've steadily collected quite a lot of those artists through the years, and I think this is an interesting record in that it, to my ears, it sounds a bit like what's that band? Queensryche. It's like Queensryche doing speed metal. They've got that sort of quite cold, almost kind of apocalyptic kind of sound quality to their music. But there you go. So that's them. Next up, I'm going to show and call out to my friend Darren in the studio. He's shown this band before. This is Vinnie Vincent's Invasion, and I've got 2 records by him, and I show them. This is the first album that they released. It's got Dana Strum in it. I always think he looked a bit uncomfortable in makeup. And then this is the initial first singer that they had in the band. It's a guy, I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but he used to be a singer in Journey apparently, and he refused to kind of sort of glam up, and he wasn't interested in going on tour with them, so he only sung on this album. But this is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's got that sort of Kiss related feeling to it, you know. You can hear that it sort of comes from that style of sort of metal, glam metal, I suppose you might say. But Vinnie Vincent's guitar playing, his soloing is just you've got to hear it to believe. It's some people might say it's slightly over the top, and I can remember when I first heard it, I thought, OMG, it's out of this world. I've come accustomed to it now, but at the time it seemed so shocking. So anyway, that's the first album. Not a bad album at all. And the second album followed on pretty much in a similar vein, really. So, All Systems Go, Vinnie Vincent. And by this time, yeah, we've still got Dana Strum there looking uncomfortable in makeup. And they got a new singer. I'm not quite sure who that guy is. But yeah, so here you go, Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Great stuff. On one of these albums, I can't remember which one, it's got like a locked groove. So at the end, it just repeats itself, goes round and round and round, repeating the same sort of riff thing. There you go. Next up, I'm going to show Vixen, and this is another band, another record that I picked up after I sort of listened to heavy metal and gave up. It's just one that popped out in the wild at me, and I picked it up for a good price. Very commercial sounding, you know. I think there's a sort of fine line between what testifies as being hard rock and what is sort of really metal. And yeah, I'd say this was This was really hard rock, but but even quite soft for being hard rock. But very melodic, very commercial sounding, and I guess for convenience they always got lumped in with sort of the heavy metal crowd when they were being talked about in the press. I wonder if they're still going. Vixen. Now the next one is a really special record, and one that I'm very fortunate to have, and that is this. So this is Volt's Night's Fall. I've shown this before, and I think I made a video about this years and years ago when I still lived in Sweden. I think I sat in my garden and spoke about it. Now, so this is quite a rare record. It's a rare new wave of British heavy metal record, and it was made by a band called Volts in Portsmouth, where I used to live. I studied in Portsmouth, and I picked this up at a car boot sale, like you did back in the day, when nobody was buying records except me, and I probably paid 50 pence for it, nothing much. And at the time I didn't know who they were, obviously, and it took some time to find out about them because that was way before the internet was invented. I just had this record in my collection as a sort of bit of a curiosity. But it turns out Volts were a band from Portsmouth, and this record is described as being new wave of British heavy metal / slightly proggy in places, and it's actually very, very valuable. There aren't many copies of this, like original copies, available to buy. There is one at the moment on Discogs, and it's the asking price for it is, you're looking at sort of £700 or £800 just for this record, and the copy that they had up there wasn't in as good a condition as this. Crazy, isn't it? So there you go. I'm definitely going to do a new job of this because you've got to hear a little bit of this. It's an incredible record. bags of Pantan records to make the video that should go before this. And yeah, after this it will be W. We'll see how we go. Okay, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy some of the needle drops that I'm going to put into this. And I'll thank you very much for watching. Check out my next video. Bye.